This is Valley View News.
It's just really tough for us to spend money.
A lot of people come just take pictures.
It appears fewer people are getting in the Halloween spirit because of the poor economy.
All our combat troops in Iraq would come home.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton supports Obama's plan to bring troops home from Iraq.
They weren't just here to participate in the shakeout or anything.
And Californians have learned to prepare for an earthquake in a drill called the Shakeout. Welcome to Valley View News. I'm Taylor Cage.
And I'm Lori Bullivan.
Rescuers in eastern Turkey searched for days for survivors in the rubble of the 7.2 quake that shook the country. The death toll quickly surpassed 250 people and was expected to climb. The quake was especially damaging because it struck where there are many remote villages. Many buildings are made of adobe bricks, which crumble easily. More than 100 aftershocks were recorded within 10 hours after the quake. The shaking was felt as far as Armenia and Iran, but no injuries have been reported in those regions.
9 earthquakes have hit Berkeley over 3 days. The first quake was magnitude 4.0. The quake had 15 aftershocks, one registered 3.8. People only felt 3 of the earthquakes. The others were quite small. One earthquake did shake books and plaster from walls in some buildings. The quakes were thought to be along the Hayward Fault.
People throughout California have prepared for the next earthquake by participating in the annual statewide shakeout. Maddie Pumilia has a story about activities on the CSUN campus.
More than 8.5 million Californians took part in the shakeout. This is about 500,000 more than the number of participants in last year's shakeout. CSUN geology students and the Students in Geology Club organized the shakeout on campus.
Students did a mock version of the potential quake. Students were told to duck and cover to practice for a future quake that would shake the ground. One student carried another student on his shoulder to the pretend medical center. James acted as a doctor by checking students who had broken bones or other medical problems. Southern California had a major 6.7 earthquake in 1994. The Northridge earthquake caused 60 deaths and 7,000 injuries. The quake also caused between $13 billion and $20 billion in property damage. 20,000 homes were destroyed, and a 2008 report says there's a 99.7% chance of an earthquake Northridge size or larger within the next 30 years. Geology teacher Doug Yule had his class participate in the drill.
I think they've learned that earthquakes occur without warning, and that it's up to an individual, each individual's own decision to decide how you want to prepare for the inevitability of a large earthquake.
Denise Hernandez is a student of Yule.
But the people that were interested were having a good time, because they weren't just here to participate in the shakeout or anything. They were here to get informed, and they were watching the footage. They were enjoying what was going on. The energy was really awesome. I've just learned that I need to get prepared.
The main goal was to learn what to do before, during, and after an earthquake. The best thing to do is drop, cover, and hold on.
If you missed this year's shakeout, you can join the action next year on October 18th. Back to you.
Libyan doctors have revealed Muammar Gaddafi died of a gunshot wound to the head. The doctor would not release further details of the autopsy. The report will go to the Libyan Attorney General before it is released to the public. Officials have yet to determine what will be done with Gaddafi's remains. His body has been on display in a commercial freezer at a Libyan shopping center.
Libya is now officially liberated. That's the word from the transitional leadership after 8 months of fighting. Many Libyans have called for a secular state, but the Islamist leader Mustafa Jalil says Sharia law will be the basis for all new legislation. The announcement came 3 days after Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi was killed trying to escape his hometown of Sirte.
President Obama has announced that all remaining U.S. troops in Iraq will be home by the end of the year. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton spoke about the withdrawal in her first visit to Tajikistan.
Even as our troops come home, the United States' commitment to Iraq's future as a secure, stable, democratic nation remains as strong as ever.
About 40,000 American troops are expected to come home, but a small number will stay behind to provide security to the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. This will end one of the longest wars in U.S. history.
A ceremony in Santa Clarita has dedicated a portion of the Interstate 5 freeway to 2 fallen CHP officers. Andrea Anderson was at the ceremony that honored the 2 men.
Gail Woods Jr. and James McCabe were two men who died doing what they loved. Woods and McCabe were both helicopter pilots with the California Highway Patrol. Gail Woods' love for flying brought him to the CHP, where he became a pilot in 1973. James McCabe was also an avid flyer. He earned his helicopter license and joined the Army Air Division before becoming a CHP officer. The two men lost their lives during a helicopter patrol in 1978. Their lives are now forever immortalized on the road they died on. The CHP Southern Division dedicated a stretch of the I-5 freeway to honor Woods and McCabe.
The suffering experienced by the Wood, McCabe, and California Highway Patrol families was immeasurable. Today, some 33 years later, we reunite these families and honor the memories of these officers who were husbands, fathers, and comrades.
It was a cloudy day when Officer Gail Woods Jr. and James McCabe were on helicopter patrol over the freeway. They couldn't see the above power lines that once stood here. Their helicopter became tangled and crashed onto the road.
Friends, fellow officers, and members of the McCabe and Woods family came to the ceremony to pay tribute to the heroes. Although she was only 7 when he died, Ruthie McCabe still remembers her father's passion for flight.
And he loved to fly, and he always told my mom that I just love doing this. I can't believe they pay me to do this. So he really, truly, he died doing what he loved.
McCabe and Woods both left behind 2 large and loving families with many grandchildren who never had the chance to meet their grandpas. James McCabe's wife says this sign will allow them to connect.
It means a great deal to me, but I believe that it means more to future generations, such as my grandchildren. They'll be able to put 2 and 2 together and it not just be a ghost from the past that they never met.
Now, with the memorial sign, both the families and motorists can honor their 2 fallen heroes. In Santa Clarita, I'm Andrea Anderson for Valley View News.
Up to 90% of eligible Tunisians have voted in the Tunisian elections. President Ben Ali was driven from power 10 months ago. The election included polling centers outside of Tunisia. Nearly 10,000 Tunisians are registered to vote in the U.S. They are voting on seats for the new National Constituent Assembly. Some Tunisians have other worries. Now that the political climate is better, the cost of electricity has gone up sharply.
Bangkok continues to be battered by floods. The floodwaters reached one of 2 major airports in the city. It was already being used as an evacuation center for those who have had to flee from their homes. Other sites that were previously used as evacuation centers have also been flooded, making them unusable. The governor urges the public to not panic and to closely follow government announcements.
The Massachusetts healthcare law that then-Governor Mitt Romney signed in 2006 could hurt him in the presidential race. The health safety net allows undocumented immigrants to get medical care. Romney has been attacking Texas Governor Rick Perry for supporting educational aid for children of undocumented immigrants. Critics say this makes Romney inconsistent in his views about aid for undocumented immigrants. Care Now USA is a nonprofit organization set up to help people who can't get the proper medical treatment they need. Taylor Cage was in Los Angeles and reports on the story.
Inside the arena, booths were set up to inform people about health care and the preventions they should take into consideration. The Care Now organization brings together skilled doctors, dentists, and event planners to put on events like this. The arena was sectioned off so people could receive the dental or medical attention they needed. Patients like Alexandria Sleck look forward to getting dental work done.
So I'm hoping that they do a referral, because I'm gonna have to have replacements, but I'm getting about 4 teeth pulled.
As for Kenneth Barfield, he's grateful for the Care Now organization event.
I'm an asthmatic, and I got asthma medication, and a lot of information that can benefit me, to better my health and everything.
Many volunteers devoted their time to care for those less fortunate, or in many cases, for those who lost health care coverage. Dr. Jorge Octavio Montes feels events like this should be done throughout the U.S.
There's a lot of need for people who they lost their jobs, they lost insurance, they're homeless. So this is a great opportunity for us as doctors to do our work where there's no restraints on money. We just are able to do the work. So we're really happy to do this.
Philip Lee explains the importance of getting your vision checked.
We treat probably 400 to 600 patients every single day that they've been open. And these people don't have glasses, they can't see. I mean, imagine going through your life and not being able to see. You can't bathe, you can't eat, you can't, drive, you can't do any of the things that you really need to do.
Vosh coordinated the vision treatment at the event and thus provided frames, lenses, and labs for those who needed it. I'm Taylor Cage reporting for Valley View News.
The Department of Veterans Affairs property in West Los Angeles is battling a class action lawsuit. The 400-acre plot of land was intended to house homeless veterans back when it was donated in 1888. Since the Vietnam War, the area has been vacant and off-limits to veterans. The veterans want the housing built. There are roughly 8,000 homeless vets in LA. The VA has been criticized for leasing the property to several businesses. President Obama signed a bill to renovate the buildings on the campus, including some for housing. The VA has launched an aggressive national plan to eliminate homelessness among veterans by 2015.
The U.S. Department of Defense announced a U.S. Army Ranger has died. Sergeant First Class Christopher Domage died from wounds when a bomb exploded near his unit. The Army Ranger was awarded several medals during his career, including the Bronze Star. Domage leaves behind his wife and 2 daughters.
Coming up next after the break, Valley View's Courtney Clavon with the latest in sports and the new change in UC applications.